don't think you can really go
Double.
One enemy remaining.
this for Kingdom of Heroes. So much more like amazing Genshin Impact content. What's going on, y'all? It's David or David. Today I want to share with you my favorite combos to use as a free-to-play player. A few things to keep in mind while I do go over these combos. This list does not contain any 5-star characters. I repeat, it does not contain any 5-star characters because otherwise this would not really be a free-to-play list. All of these combos are based off of the character's elemental skills, elemental burst, or basic attacks, and they do not require any constellation levels, but some of them do, however, get much better once you do have constellation levels. And finally, these combos are only between pairs of units. If you are interested in me doing like a separate video about best team combos or like best 3 character combos, let me know down below in the comments. So without any further ado, I will be breaking this video up into different sections. The first section is going to be Barbara's elemental skill. Let the show begin. Let the Show Begin summons hydro-infused musical notes that swirl around your character and deal hydro damage, afflicting enemies and yourself with the wet status. This skill has many different available combos, but my favorites are combining it with Kaya's Elemental Burst or Chongyun's Elemental Skill. Kaya's Elemental Burst, Glacial Waltz, summons 3 icicles that swirl around your character and deal cryo damage to all enemies in the proximity. This means that activating Barbara's Elemental Skill alongside Kaya's Elemental Burst will freeze the enemies that you come into contact with. It's a perfect blend of offense and defense, and you get both of these characters for free. The combo with Chongyun has the same idea. His elemental skill, Spirit Blade Chonghwa's Layered Frost, deals cryo damage and creates a zone that converts all melee attacks into cryo damage. This, combined with Barbara's elemental skill, makes it so attacking with a melee character inside the zone will freeze your enemies. It's especially good when used with a greatsword character because your charged attacks will freeze the enemies and then shatter them repeatedly to deal additional damage. While we are talking about Chongyun, the next section of combos is based off of his elemental skill that we just covered during the Barber section. His elemental skill is extremely versatile because it gives any melee character the ability to deal cryo damage, opening the way for many elemental reactions. The first combo that I have with this skill is actually not an ability at all, it's just polearm character normal attacks. Polearm characters I believe benefit the most from Chongyun's elemental skill because they attack the fastest and the most often, leading to the most cryo damage instances. Right now, Xiangling is the only free-to-play polearm user that can benefit from this, but along with her elemental burst Pyronado that summons 3 pyro-infused polearms to orbit around her, her and Chongyun can create a devastating combo that deals plenty of cryo damage and melts your enemies. The next combo with Chongyun is Xingqiu, specifically his elemental burst Guhua Sword Raincutter. This elemental burst creates an array of hydro-infused swords above your character that attack your enemies alongside you when you normal attack. Combine this with Chongyun's elemental skill, and your melee normal attacks will deal additional damage and apply frozen to your enemies. This combo is very similar to the Barber combo, but it is much more offensive and does far more damage. The last combo for this section is the new greatsword user Xin Yan and her elemental skill Sweeping Fervor. Sweeping Fervor causes Xin Yan to attack nearby enemies with her instrument, creating a shield based off of how many enemies she hit with this ability. Hitting 3 or more enemies is the sweet spot here because it causes her shield to deal pyro damage in intervals around your character. This gets much easier to do when you hit her first ascension because you only need to hit at least 2 enemies for the pyro damage shield bonus. Similar to the Xiangling combo, Xin Yan's elemental skill in this combo will create the melt reaction to deal additional damage. This combo is much more defensive, however, keeping your character safe while dealing elemental AoE pyro damage. The last section of the best free-to-play elemental combos is going to be based around Razor. Razor is an interesting character because he is only really useful as your main DPS, but thankfully he does that really well. His elemental burst summons the wolf within him that attacks alongside Razor to deal elemental electro damage and increases attack speed. I have a good amount of characters that combo really well with him, so I'll be very brief on each one. We already went over these first 2, Barbara's elemental skill and Kaya's elemental burst. Barbara's elemental skill applies hydro to surrounding enemies, meaning that every time you attack with Razor in his elemental burst, you will apply the electrocharged reaction. Kaya's elemental burst combo is the same idea, except you apply Superconduct, which is one of Razor's best elemental reactions. Superconduct reduces the enemy's physical defense, meaning that Razor does even more damage with auto attacks. I also already talked about these next three: Chongyun's Elemental Skill, Xingqiu's Elemental Burst, and Xiangling's Elemental Burst. Chongyun's Elemental Skill with Razor is perfect for those enemies that don't take a lot of physical damage because it converts Razor's attacks into cryo and will apply Superconduct to reduce their physical resistances. Xingqiu's Elemental Burst will have the same effect as the Barber Razor combo and apply Electro Charge to the enemy, but this will deal much more damage. And Xiangling's Elemental Burst will help keep enemies at bay while also enabling Razor to create the Overload reaction, dealing AoE pyro damage. The very last combo for this video is Razor with Xinyan's Elemental Skill. I already covered how her Elemental Skill provides a shield and deals AoE pyro damage, but once you hit her 4th Ascension, she might be the best support for Razor. Her 4th Ascension gives your character shielded by Sweeping Fervor a 15% increase to physical damage. Putting this all together, using Sweeping Fervor with an Ascension 4 Xinyan on at least 2 enemies, then swapping to Razor for his Elemental Burst will give Razor a shield, give him constant AoE pyro damage, give him increased physical damage, give all of his attacks electro damage, and increase his attack speed. That is definitely the best current way to buff up Razor with just one other character. And that, my friends, is going to be it for this video on the best elemental combos for free-to-play players. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to smash that like button down below and elemental burst that subscribe button and notification bell, please, because it helps support my channel a huge amount, and you know I appreciate every single one of you that does so. Make sure to leave me a comment as well down below as to what you want to see from my channel next, or just really with anything that you want to say, because I do reply to every single comment on my YouTube, and I will check you all in my next video. See ya!
I've been searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking for a